Hey everybody, this is Rufus Duram. I'm the Executive Director of the Northwest Connecticut Arts Council, and welcome to the fiscal year 2020 Arts Funding REGI Grant Info Session. So this is a online video version of the info sessions we've been doing around our region. Our hope is that if you couldn't make it out to one of those sessions, we can still get you the information. This is going to cover the program guidelines for the REGI grant. Straight off the top, I just want to make sure that it's really clear that this is a regional grant. So this is anybody within the 25 towns that the Northwest Connecticut Arts Council covers can apply to this. If you're watching this video and you're in another region of Connecticut, you can contact your local regional arts council and apply through them. Or if you're in our region but doing a project in another region, you should apply through that region's arts council. But this is meant to bring money into our region to support small arts programs and projects regionally. It's great. We have $20,000 this year to give out, and we're hoping that this video helps get people inspired to do some great projects in our region. So let's get started. So this is for fiscal year 2020. These are the program guidelines. First off, everything that the Office of the Arts does has to be seen through the READI framework. So this is their sort of values and vision statement. And we're going to go through what that means, because you should be applying and thinking of your application through the lens of the READI framework. They spent a lot of time on this. I think it's a really strong vision, value statement, and I think it's important for everyone to really understand what READI means when they're applying to any of the grants, not just the REGI grant. So the R stands for relevance. It's basically how meaningful, purposeful your project is to your current community, what's going on in society, what's going on in your culture, in your neighborhood. And they're really supportive of this to be relevant, to support curiosity, action, awareness in, and how the arts can intersect with what's going on in the culture through this lens. E stands for equity. So this is making sure everything that you're doing is fair and just, that you distribute the resources without bias, and you're leveling the playing field for all of the constituents in your region. A is for access. So this is to encourage participation and communication to provide opportunities for all populations. So there's everybody has access to this, or accessibility is a really big issue, as you'll see. D is for diversity. So this is to make sure that you're hitting a diverse range of people. If you have diversity of artists participating in your project, or you're trying to increase diversity in your neighborhood, in your town, in your municipality, this is what the D stands for. They really feel like a large and diverse group of voices as part of any project enhances that project. And I is for inclusion. So this is inviting active participants by all constituents to reflect the communities that you're engaging with. So this is basically respect, responsiveness to the diversity of all people. So the regional initiative grant, or the REGI grant, encourages and supports small arts projects that are relevant to the community's current society, culture, and trends. This is a good fit for smaller arts-based projects that target specific community matter or reflect on a personal experience you may have had, or just brings your neighbors together. And so you have to align it with the READI framework that we just went through. This is really important among all of the grants. To do, everything has to be aligned in some way with the READI. You don't have to hit all of the letters, but you should be looking at it through a framework of at least one, if not more. And the ranges are from 1,000 to 4,000. So if your project is under 1,000, that's too small. If it's over 4,000, that's fine. You just have to show that you have other income to cover that extra amount as part of your budget process. So these will all be sent in via SurveyMonkey, which we'll go over, and then there will be a panel review process, and decisions will be made based on the available funding. So the panel review process will be made up of people from our region, and there's a weighted scale that we'll go over. And it's important to know that there will be a public comment portion that's scheduled in advance, so that any REGI grant applications in our region will be able to have a chance to answer the panel's questions at a scheduled time. We're trying to make the process open and equitable to all applicants. So these are really important. This is the timeline of the REGI grant. So everything is due by midnight or 11:59 p.m. on June 1st, 2019. Do not wait until then, because that's kind of really close. Try to get it in by the end of May. It's through a SurveyMonkey, so just keep in mind that like anything on the internet, there can always be a little bit of snafus. So the earlier you get it in, the better. You'll be notified in late September if your project's been accepted, and then the funding period is from October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. This is the state's fiscal year, and then this is crucial. Your final report, every grant from the state needs to have a final report. So this will be due on November 30th, 2020, or 30 days following the completion of your project if your project's done sooner. So the eligible applicants. So you have to be a Connecticut artist, a creative entrepreneur, a curator, or event planner. And these can all be done as an independent single person or with a fiscal sponsor. So fiscal sponsorship is another nonprofit that offers to do the administration of the funds, and usually there's a fee involved. The Northwest Connecticut Arts Council can consider fiscal sponsorship. There's an application process. If you're interested in that, you can email us at info@artsnwct.org. But you can also do it as a single artist. This is by far the most open grant that the state gives. You can be an arts organization, either a nonprofit or a fiscal sponsor, and the nonprofit has to have a 501c3 designation. You can be a non-arts organization, a 501c3, as long as you have a history of offering publicly accessible arts-based programs. So this means, like, if you're a library or another, social service nonprofit, but you have a strong arts component, or publicly accessible arts, like a gallery or shows or workshops, things like that, you can still apply. School districts or individual schools, and this is from pre-K all the way through 12th grade, can apply. Libraries, colleges, universities, or departments of colleges and universities. And just you have to be a Connecticut resident if you're an artist, creative entrepreneur, or event planner curator. They're trying to keep this money in the community, so it's really important that this goes to a Connecticut artist. Here's the list of ineligible applicants. So if you've been awarded the REGI grant for 3 years consecutively, starting in fiscal year 17, you have to take a year off. And you can reapply in fiscal year 2021, but this is just to make sure everyone has equitable access to the money. If you don't submit, or your application's incomplete, or you submit late, you won't be accepted. There's no "the dog ate my homework" excuse here. You just have to get it in on time, and no excuse will be considered. And then if you owe a final report to any previous Connecticut Office of the Arts grant, you're not eligible. So it's really important to remember to keep getting those final reports in on time. And here's the crucial part. You can only apply to the REGI grant, the supporting arts grant, or the arts project grant. You can't apply to all three. This is really important. You have to choose one. If you're a line item organization, most of you probably aren't. You're not eligible, and we're not eligible because we're the designated regional service organization. So if you're applying as a business entity, you need to get a DUNS number. This is super simple. You go through dnb.com to get this. It's free. It's really straightforward. And this is any state grant that you're applying as a business entity. So the supporting arts grant or the project grant, you have to have a DUNS number. And it's really, really simple. If you have any questions, again, email us info@artsnwct.org. We'll help you out. So this is the fiscal information for the grant is you have to have it between $1,000 and $4,000. 10% of this is allowed to cover administration expenses. So fiscal sponsorship fees, office supplies, utilities, postage, accounting or legal fees involved with the project. It has to be directly related to the project. But this is like the upper, these are not like artist fees. This is administrative fees. And if you're applying to the REGI grant with a partner, you can share admin expenses, but they can't exceed 10%. So for example, if you're applying here and you need a fiscal sponsorship, like our fiscal sponsorship is 7% fee to cover administration costs. So that would be 7% of your max of 10%. So just something to keep in mind. You're eligible for a large range of expenses. So these are materials, space rental, payments to the artists, technical or administrative people that are needed for the project specifically. If you need supplemental project insurance, this can be part of your budget. Permits, fees, artist fees, legal fees directly associated for the project. If you need to clear rights for a play or for a film or a song, this can all be part of that. Hospitality expenses, if you're flying, or not if you're flying, if you're bringing someone up from Norwalk or something and you're wanting to put them up for the night in an Airbnb, this is okay. And then anybody that you've hired for evaluation, so event documentation or surveyors, whatever, and then printing, advertising, marketing costs for the event or for the project. And then limited brick or mortar expenses, so if you have to buy some like hanging things for a gallery or whatever, like this has to be a limited portion, but they're still covered. This is important. So the match requirements, all of these grants have a different match requirement. With REGI, it only needs to be 25%. So if you get a $4,000 grant, you have to match it in $1,000. So you can do this two ways: in-kind donations or cash. So you either have $1,000 of cash coming in from a sponsor or another income stream that you might do related to the project, or you can do an in-kind donation. And so this can be anything from someone gives you $400 worth of food to cover the event, or an artist waives their appearance fee as an in-kind donation. This can be, if you have any questions about this, because it can get complicated, you can email us info@artsnwct.org. It's just, you have to be sure that these are reflected in the budget that you give as part of your grant application process. So the review criteria, like I said, there will be a panel, and there's three areas that your project will be weighted, that they'll be reviewed under. So this will be READI. Like I said at the beginning, this is really crucial. How does it align with one or more of the READI definitions? Remember, relevance, equity, access, diversity, inclusion. So that's 20 points. And then, does the project demonstrate a connection to and understanding of the community it tends to reach? Like, how relevant is the project to your community, to your audience that you're trying to reach? This is going to be another 20 points. And then the quality of the plan. Is it reasonable? Is it realistic? It's not like you're trying to do a 2-week film festival with $4,000. That's not realistic. So you have to really think about this as you're budgeting, because this will be weighted, because we need to make sure that when we give you the money, you're able to actually successfully produce the project or event. So do you have a marketing plan? Do you have already have artists that have said, yes, I'm part of this? Like, this is all great supplemental documentation that you can submit as part of your quality of plan. So this year, the REGI grant is going to be part of SurveyMonkey. So really, really important that you remember you cannot start and save an application SurveyMonkey. So you should open the link that you see on your screen or type it in, and then look over all the questions, review the READI framework, review the review criteria to develop your application, then write your questions in a text document or a Word document. Prepare your budget using the supplied template. You have to use Connecticut Office of the Arts template to do the budget. You can't make your own. They make sure all the math is done for you. Use their templates, an Excel sheet. And then once that's all done, go back to the SurveyMonkey, fill it out, upload all of your supporting documentation, upload the template, and submit it before June 1st. So your responsibilities, if you get the grant, is to review and understand the grant overview guidelines. This is part of the this is on the Connecticut Office of the Arts website. We'll put it in the description below. You have to acknowledge the support of the Connecticut Office of the Arts as outlined in their credit and publicity kit. So any marketing material, you have to have their logo on it. Any sort of printed material related to it, put their logo on it. They give you the logo, they give you all the rules to using it. It's really straightforward. Acknowledge them in your social media pushes. If you want to acknowledge, if you apply through us, it would be awesome if you also acknowledge the Northwest Connecticut Arts Council, and then we can also boost it through our social media. And then just make sure you submit your final report. This is crucial because if you need another grant at any point from the state, you have to have these final reports in. And then that's it. This is a fairly simple grant process. There's only 12 questions, and then you can upload your supporting documentation. It's really straightforward. It's really easy. We're hoping we get a lot of applicants. We want to see a diverse, robust showing for the Northwest Connecticut region. So you can either submit to Adrian Jefferson, who is the Connecticut Office of the Art REGI grant contact. So if you have questions about eligibility or what would or would not qualify as an expense, you can email her. You can also reach out to us. info@artsnwct.org is the best way to do that. We'll try to get back to you within 24 hours. And then just please note that, don't wait till the last minute to ask questions, because we have a very small staff. We'll do our best, but we can't guarantee a response if you wait until the last 48 hours of this grant process. You got to get it up. You got to get it in. We're here to answer your questions. And that's it. That's the REGI grant process. So we hope we see a lot of you out there submit, and good luck.